Racing the way it's meant to be all season long. 2 divisions, nearly 3,000 laps of the closest, toughest short track racing you'll see anywhere. Every pass, every fender rub, every bump and run, every emotion. Winners race here and stars are born here. This is pure stock car racing. It's the Z-Max Cars Tour, and it's next right here on FloRacing.
The fourth stop of the 2026 Z-Max Cars Tour, presented by Sound Gear, brings us to Sophia, North Carolina, and the Caraway Speedway as we get set to run the TCPS Plumbing and Septic 250 at a venue that always delivers exciting action when it comes to the Cars Tour. A warm afternoon here in Sophia, North Carolina at a racetrack that is just electric. Alongside of James Pike, I'm Eric Brennan, and it's a pleasure to be with you in what has already been a season that's provided so much storylines and drama up to this point where it's still relatively early in the season. And Pike, this racetrack, just under a half mile, it always gives us something else to talk about when the night's over. Tonight should be no exception.
We were joking just before we went on air. We might not have the Firecracker 265 like we've had in years past, but make no mistake, Caraway delivers firecrackers of races. And so we're going to have a lot of fun, not only here, but over the course of the next few weeks. We've got some quintessential Cars Tour tracks coming up here. A Speedway in a few weeks, Langley as well. These are tracks that a lot of these drivers have been to. Most teams have experience at, so the notebooks are deep. It's a completely different setup from what we faced at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway 2 weeks ago, where nobody had notes. So everybody should be on their A game here as we roll into May.
Some of the more traditional stops, if you will, on the calendar, and this racetrack and tradition with the Tour goes a long way. And it's been at a couple of different spots throughout the season. It served as a finale. It served as that prelude to the 4th of July weekend, as you mentioned. Now back in what has been a bit of a traditional spot on the calendar when the race used to run in around March or April. The weather is obviously going to be a bit different than what we've seen in the past. It is certainly warm here this afternoon, but the big concern is some of the weather developing off to the west. So the whole schedule between yesterday and today was moved up by 1 hour, and officials continue to monitor that situation and circumstance. But we do, in fact, have a schedule of events as to how we are going to run today's program, should Mother Nature be kind enough to not impede our plans.
That's the hope. We'll go ahead and get rolling with qualifying here for the Pro Late Models and Late Model Stock Cars momentarily. We'll have an opener for the Legends cars here at Caraway. They'll run for 25 laps before we roll into driver intros and pre-race ceremonies, and then 100 laps for the Pro Late Models, 125 laps for the Late Model Stock Cars. The Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear here in the TCPS Plumbing and Septic 250 from Caraway.
As you can see, all of these times moved up about 1 hour from the originally intended schedule for today due to the forecast that is ever-changing. But the hope is that we will kick off our racing portion of our program 6 p.m. Eastern, with qualifying kicking off a short while from now. Now, coming off of that race in Nashville, there were a lot of storylines to walk away from. Yes, Caden Quapple got his second win of 2026, but it was a late restart move and a last lap pass on the 4-car of Parker Eatman, who has just been on rails, and now he has to position himself to come back from this disappointment, which was the last restart of the race.
Really, really tight battle to get this last restart going, and Caden Quapple was able to get a great drive on the inside and get away. He left Eatman to fight with Dylan Fetcho and Connor Jones, but I think the takeaway from Eatman's side is that Eatman led the most laps in this race. It was the most dominant performance of his Z-Max Cars Tour career to date. He did everything but win this race. And so if you're Parker Eatman and the folks at Matt Piercy Racing, how do you rebound from that performance when you were so close and yet so far away? And can you translate that into consistent top 5 finishes and potential wins and trips to Cookout Victory Lane?
And if final practice is any indication, it looks good. He was the fastest car in the final session they got on this racetrack today. Now, speaking of this racetrack, it's undergone a bit of a facelift over the last few years in several different facets. Some drivers have compared it to the way that Tri-County was resurfaced, where there's a differentiation in the pavement texture, and you could see it there. That darkened spot was an off-season venture done by Darren Hackett and his team to fix what was a really rough, bumpy, and rugged portion of the racetrack to turns 3 and 4. Also, they removed the curbing that was on the bottom of the racetrack as well. A lot of the drivers said this place is racing very different right now.
This place is going to race different. It's going to race faster. The comparisons to Tri-County are not entirely out of place. You've got a similar amount of banking over in turns 3 and 4 as we do when we get to Tri-County in September. You'll carry more speed through that corner as well, but it also makes the way you drive 3 and 4 a lot different than turns 1 and 2, where the pavement has not been redone. So you've got high grip 3 and 4, you've got worn asphalt 1 and 2, you've got a very different racetrack where you can't necessarily set it up for both ends, and that should make for a very compelling set of races tonight.
And it's also increased the amount of speed this racetrack is holding. Some drivers saying north of 0.3 of a second faster is what this track is in comparison to the lap times and speeds that were turned last year. So a lot of things to look forward to. Now, Pike, if you're up here, question is, who do we have down trackside? Well, we've tabbed an all-star to jump in. Snowball Derby pit reporter for several years with FloRacing, also many other ventures with the Smart Modified Tour. Let's welcome for the first time with the Cars Tour, Bob Dillner.
We are excited to be with you today. We miss Blake for sure, and we hope that he gets better soon. Nice to have James up in the booth with you, Eric. But how about having this guy here at Caraway today, making his Pro Late Model debut for the first time in many years, Daniel Hemrick. And I heard you had to actually wipe some of the cobwebs off this car to bring it to the racetrack.
Yeah, first off, Bob, I appreciate you crouching down to get to my height a little bit. But no, yeah, this car last time it raced was the Snowflake in 2015 with my wife Kenzie driving it, and it literally, yeah, we pulled it out of the garage, had to do the mandatory updates, but man, we've had a lot of fun. It's probably, I got nobody to blame but myself. It's not as fast as it needs to be. I've kind of taken it on to put it back together myself and come here, and I'm going to admit, probably a little ignorant on that. It hasn't really changed that much, but I can tell you it's changed quite a bit. But I've had a lot of fun. Just a couple burns on my hands, dirty hands, really, really good people just coming to, willing to lend a hand, and I appreciate it. So thanks to High Point Paint, Hoyt Demas, his family, and go have some fun tonight.
I was going to say, are you having fun, and how good are you going to be?
I don't know the answer on how good. It's definitely been playing catch-up since lap 1, but I've had a blast. Having to not only tell somebody what the car does on a weekly basis on the NASCAR side, but actually having to think about it and then go create the changes yourself. I do miss part of that. That's what kind of maybe my money, if you will, back when I short track race for a living. So I'm enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun. We're going to have family, friends parked up in turn 3. I told my kids to wear their foam fingers. I don't know if they'll be number 1, but I'm going to do the best I can to give them a good shot.
We are proud of Daniel Hemrick, right from the Bandolero ranks up through the late models and, of course, the NASCAR Truck Series.
Thanks, Bob. And there's a lot of storylines similar to Daniel. Off week on the truck side, means to come play with the Cars Tour. We'll touch on those as we go throughout our program. And we're also going to send well wishes to our pal Blake McCandless as well, a bit under the weather. So, Pike, you get to hang out up here with me today. And we've got Bob pulling double duty from Wake County to Caraway here today. The cars are on the ready, and we will qualify for the TCPS Plumbing and Septic 250. 4th race for the late model stocks, 3rd for the pros in 2026. Back at the Caraway Speedway in Sophia, North Carolina for the TCPS Plumbing and Septic 250 for the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear at the Caraway Speedway, which, Pike, it doesn't matter if they put a Tour Type modified, a mini stock, or a Pro Late model, this place is always fun to watch a race at or watch along here as we get set to kick off Mahle Motorsport pole qualifying.
It is fun to watch qualifying here, much less the races. And first up to take to the track here at Caraway, none other than the Brickware Racing entry, Carson Ware, behind the wheel this afternoon for constant 10-minute oil change and Jacob Construction. Cody had a strong run here last July when the Cars Tour previously raced at Caraway. He will come across the stripe and be the first driver to set time here at Caraway. We'll have plenty of action. 23 cars in Pro Late Model qualifying here at Caraway to set the grid for the first race of our doubleheader this evening.
Ware will come to the line to complete his run. And as Pike mentioned, 23 Pro Late models, 34 late model stock cars, as Ware's lap of record goes down as a 16.568. Second car on the racetrack, following the same type of trajectory as Daniel Hemrick, who we heard from earlier. The day job for this driver is the crew chief at Front Row Motorsports for the 34 truck of Lane Riggs. He's making his fourth career Cars Tour Pro Late model start in first of the season. This is the Super Bin Washington K number 11 for the driver who hails out of Peoria, Arizona, Dylan Capello. He did run the Spears Cars Tour Southwest Pro Late model race at the Las Vegas Bull Ring earlier this year in March, started fourth and finished second, hoping to mirror some of that success as he flips with the second turn on his second lap. First one put him within 300ths of a second on that of Ware. Checkered flag is going to fall now for Dylan Capello, and he will go quicker at a 16.538 for Dylan Capello.
Next driver to take to the racetrack is one that has not competed in the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear, but it is a name that is known very well throughout the American motorsports community. Jack Baldwin, another one of the Baldwin family with plenty of smart modified tour starts to his name, is next to take the racetrack for LRT Motorsports, hailing out of Mooresville, North Carolina. He and brother Luke have done quite the job in modified competition over the last few years, and we'll see what sort of time Jack is able to set as he comes to complete his first lap. He goes up and it is a 16.620, good for third on the board as it stands for the driver representing Stoke Shoes and all their great partners. Makes his way through 3 and 4 to complete his qualifying run. A little bit of a slide there out of the corner, but come across the stripe and he will improve slightly. 6.12, so 16.612 for Jack Baldwin, still third on the board.
Next up, a driver who comes into this race second in championship points behind his teammate Mason Walters. He won his first career pole at Nashville last time out and had a special guest along for the ride. Recording artist Kane Brown was in attendance, and the Kane Brown family has been a supporter of this driver out of Florida. This is the Setzer Racing and Development, Kane Brown family, Craven Flavor, WEG, and Beehive Productions number 20 of Evan McKnight. He was fifth here in a Carolina Pro Late model race back in 2024 and has had back-to-back seventh-place finishes to start his 2026 season. And his first lap goes right to the top. 16.537, just 1,000th of a second clear of Capello, and looking for more on lap 2. Could it be back-to-back Mahle Motorsport Pole Awards for Evan McKnight? He will go faster yet on lap 2. And by nearly a tenth of a second, Evan McKnight with a 16.463.
Fast lap for Evan McKnight as we have Connor Jones now on the racetrack, a driver who has plenty of experience both in Pro Late models and the late model stock cars, currently second in late model stock car points, but pretty sporty in PLM competition here at Caraway. Average starting position of 5th, average finish of 6th. He's got 2 top 10s and a top 5 to his name just in the pros at the Southern Short Track Racing Icon. Jones will come across the line, take the white flag. First lap on the board is a 16.653, so he needs just about 2 tenths to match the lap that Evan McKnight just set. Through 3 and 4, we'll see what kind of run he gets coming out of the corner. Pretty clean drive off of 4 for Connor Jones. Is the second lap faster? Only slightly. 16.618 for the driver out of Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Driver coming out to make his Cars Tour Pro Late Model debut, Joel Smith out of Temperance, Michigan for the Fab Specialty Teams. Another driver taking advantage of the truck off weekend is with Bob.
We're down here walking with Caden Honeycutt as he gets ready to climb into his Pro Late Model, but you're doing double duty. What do you expect? Because I feel like the temperature is dipping, clouds are coming overhead. What do you expect here for qualifying for both?
Yeah, I definitely expect a pretty big pickup for qualifying if that cloud's going to stay. So we'll see what we got. But, man, our number 54 JC Motorsports Toyota Camry has been really good all weekend. I feel like Alex and all the guys have done such a great job. So thank you, CB Partners, Doe and Batter, Autos, Clark's Automotive, Race Engines, everyone that deal. So hopefully, I think we'll get the pro race in. The stock race is going to be questionable, but I know the tour and everyone's doing what they can to get the race in. So we'll just see what happens. We'll get into qualifying and see where we stack up.
Caden Honeycutt, former Snowball Derby winner, like so many others, guys, looking at the sky, seeing where the clouds are, and also that possible moisture that could come into play later on tonight that is west of us right now.
Weather is going to be a variable that all of these teams and drivers will track over the course of the afternoon and as we roll into the evening. Meanwhile, on the racetrack right now, a driver who's got 3 starts in the late model, but this is his pro late model debut at Caraway in the Cars Tour. This is Grimsby, Ontario's Trent Lansing, piloting the 30 for Rhett Jones Racing. He will make his way out of turn 4 and set his first lap of record, which goes right to the top, 16.398, about half a tenth faster than Evan McKnight and Trayton Lapsevich, the new provisional pole sitter here at Caraway for the Pro Late Models. Can he better his time on his second lap coming out of turn 4? Even better, 16.321. Fast time for Trayton Lapsevich, who goes over a tenth faster than McKnight to take the top spot on the board.
Been a good day for the Rhett Jones Racing team already so far, and if you don't want to go into the ARCA race, cover your ears now. But as we saw earlier, Cletus McFarland took that team to a runner-up effort behind Andy Jankowiak at the checkered flag. Lapsevich now sitting on provisional pole. Next up on the racetrack, a driver who intends on running full-time with us, however in a different car. This is the Kyle Campbell Motorsport 03 in the Stoke shoes and Stump Hill Deer Processing entry from Mansfield, Ohio, Tony Cosentino. Tony said that he wanted to shelf the ideology of trying to run in both this series and in the ARCA Menard Series in 2026. He wants to focus solely on this effort with the Stoke Shoes team. Essentially, a pseudo-teammate to Jack Baldwin, who's in the 11 car that Tony has been piloting throughout 2026. He won the pole at a Carolina Pro Late Model race at Hickory before finishing 11th there, and so far in this session, he is 8th of the 8 cars that have been on the racetrack so far.
And now to the track comes the 54H, a driver that you heard from courtesy of our Bob Dillner just a few moments ago, making his Pro Late Model debut in the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. This is former NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series champion Daniel Hemrick to the racetrack in a chassis that, as he said in the interview, 10 years old, hasn't competed since the Snowball Derby in 2015 when his wife Kenzie was behind the wheel. Daniel Hemrick brings it out of the shed. I'm sure this car is just as excited to shake its legs off and break the rest as is Daniel, who once upon a time before he was an O'Reilly Series champion was pretty sporty in short track competition and in Legends competition too. First lap for Daniel Hemrick was a 16.709. Second lap for Daniel Hemrick a little bit faster at a 16.676. That places him 8th of the cars that have taken time.
And now we could see that it is in fact starting to darken around this just under half-mile oval, and there is a little bit of a pop-up shower to the west of the Speedway. And we will cross our fingers in hopes that we are able to resume the rest of the afternoon as Tristan Pena is attempting to make his second career Cars Tour Pro Late Model start in first in 2026. This is the Whataburger USGP DK Luxury Motors LLC number 50 for Mike Darn Racing out of San Antonio, Texas. Pena, who ran at Anderson with us last season, clocks in his first lap with a 16.736. And he's got a tremendous sponsor that is also helping us out with our speed shot here today. And they also provided a lot of Whataburgers for many of the people in the pits yesterday at the racetrack. Pena's second lap will come across the board and he will improve to 6th. So trying to make his second career start and first with the tour at Caraway.
Up next to the track, a driver originally hailing from the West Coast out of Yorba Linda, California. The 97 of Dylan Garner now takes the racetrack. Eric, if you want your fun trivia notes and nuggets, that's also the hometown and home to the Presidential Library of former President Richard Nixon. So we're here for fun little nuggets over the course of our Car Show broadcast. But the Dylan Garner Racing Chevrolet makes his way around turns 3 and 4. Brings it across the line for his first lap of record, which is going to be just over 17 seconds at a 17.003. Garner with 2 starts here in Pro Late Model competition with the Cars Tour, representing Hydraulic Machinery Incorporated, will come across the line and puts a fast lap down the second time, 16.499, third fastest time so far for Dylan Garner.
So Lapcevich still on the Mahle Motorsport pole. Lapcevich and McKnight on the Mahle Motorsport front row with points on the line for both. That could be big for McKnight, trying to cut into the points lead that his teammate has on him coming into this race. Waterford, Connecticut's Brody Monahan, 4th in points, only 18 markers out of the lead. This is the Whelan Engineering, Critical Signs, and Mahoney Family Racing, number 31 for the family-owned team. And that beautiful looking Whelan ride makes its way off in that freshly paved turns 3 and 4 to see what he's got up against Lapcevich and company. And the first lap for Monahan, 3rd. Little more than a 10th and a half off of the lap laid down by Lapcevich, which Lapcevich did on his second lap. Monahan's going to try to follow suit. Off the 4th corner, Brody Monahan to the checkered flag. And at the line, he will slow down on lap 2 and just miss out on the Mahle Motorsport front row as things stand as the 12th of 23 cars wraps up his run.
So now Caden Honeycutt taking to the racetrack here. 54 machine out, ready to go. We know what kind of driver Honeycutt has been both in pro late model competition and in late model competition here in the Cars Tour. In his one start in the pros, Caden started 7th and finished 4th. So one top 5 to his name in pro competition. But there's a reason why Tricon Garage decided to pick him up and put him in a Truck Series ride. He is fast in just about anything he drives. And first lap is evidence of that. 16.366. Faster than all but Trayton Lapcevich's second lap. So can Caden improve by maybe half a tenth to try and get the pole away from Lapcevich as he crosses the line? He is not quite faster, actually a little bit slower, 16.387. So Honeycutt, 2nd in qualifying so far.
Well, the 2025 champion Ben Mayer takes the Low Country Motorsport 67 on the racetrack. Let's go to Bob.
Brandon Lopez getting ready to go out for qualifying, defending winner of this race. What are your thoughts going into qualifying with this cloud cover?
I'm super excited. I think we definitely got a good pill draw tonight. Hopefully the rain stays away, but I think we got 2 really, really good pieces here, both in the pro and the late model stock. So it's just up to me to get up on the wheel and make it happen tonight.
Ben Mayer in the top liner Chevrolet out of Chester, Maryland. Wrapping up his first lap, 6th on the board the first time around. Ben comes into this race not necessarily enthralled in the championship battle because he had to miss the season opener, but the current pole sitter took the wheel of this car and had a great day with it at Southern National Motorsports Park while Ben was running towards the top 10 in the Truck Series, and he jumps up to 3rd on lap 2.
That brings to the racetrack the young gun representing Nighthawk Frozen Foods, Clear 28 and Spiller Industrial for Case James Racing out of Newton, North Carolina. It's Case James, son of Cole James, who's a pretty good short track racer around these parts not so long ago. Case entering the Cars Tour as a rookie this season, but comes with a bevy of Bandolero and late model experience, following the model that the leadership of the Cars Tour has set, where this is sort of the next step that is envisioned once you complete your time in summer shootout territory with the Legends and the Bandos. First lap of record for Case James is 5th with a 16.469, so he needs about a tenth and a half to take over the pole from Trayton Lapcevich. Comes out of 4 and down to the start-finish line, and Case James will gain 1 spot with a 16.439, so that puts James 4th on the board in qualifying.
And here comes the season opening winner at Southern National Motorsports Park. However, did not have the result that he was hoping for at Nashville. Finished 32nd there. After starting in the 5th spot, Mason Walters in the UES Unified Electrical Services number 6 for Setzer Racing and Development started and finished 4th in the 2025 Cars Tour Pro Late Model race that was held here. And the lap to beat is a 16.321 as our camera operators start to report a couple of sprinkles that are falling here. And that is not necessarily slowing down Walters, who gets back to the power hard off of turn 2. He timed in 7th his first time around. And as he comes off the corner, checkered flag for Mason Walters. And he will pick it up to 4th. Solid effort for Mason Walters as some of the crew members down trackside start to head to their haulers to retrieve car covers, but the track continues on.
Keeping an eye on what activity we see on pit road, whether people will start putting on raincoats, whether more car covers start to come out. Meanwhile, on the track is a driver representing Capella Legal and Kathy Boyd's Tax Services, racing out of Winter Haven, Florida. This is James Seawright behind the wheel of the number 5. Seawright brings his car around 3 and 4 for his first lap of record. He's made 2 starts so far in Cars Tour competition. First lap for Seawright is a 16.454. So Seawright currently 6th on the timesheet here in the Pro Late Model qualifying for the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. One more opportunity to bring it around down to the front stretch and gain time. And Seawright does. 16.383 moves him up from 6th to 3rd in the grid so far.
Here's another driver that's going to be pulling double duty with us tonight in the Pro and the Late Model stock car. 6th in points after starting off the season with a strong podium effort at Southern National, but in Nashville was 22nd as they came to the checkered flag there. Has experience here as this driver, Lightning London McKenzie out of Asheboro, North Carolina, in the Kyle Beatty Racing number 95. First lap for McKenzie, who puts that car right up towards the wall as he exits the corner. It's going to be a 16.632 for London McKenzie. Puts him in the 16th spot in the McKenzie Properties Lumber and Supply and Shricordia number 95 car. Looking for a big pickup on this second lap. He will improve up to 13th. So McKenzie now 13th on the board with a handful of cars left to go.
Next car on the racetrack, representing Max Recycling and Mills Automotive for JW Motorsports out of Fisherville, Kentucky. It's the rookie Ben Mack, who will take the sort of slightly greenish blue and neon number 13 machine with a bobble out of turn 4 to complete his first lap of qualifying. And Ben Mack with the 16.750, the 19th fastest lap of record so far. Mack continues to work his way around Caraway Speedway. Comes out of turn 4, cleaner drive off the corner that time, and Mack will come across the line and will land in 16th with a 16.614, his fastest lap.
3 cars to go. Next up on the racetrack, driving the number 22 entry for Bryson Lopez Racing. In the Bergeson's Heating and Air, Atlanta Paving and Concrete number 22, Chase Bergeson. California native, 9th in points with 2 top 15 efforts to start 2026. Was 12th at Nashville and 14th in the season opener at Southern National Motorsports Park, and he is 18th on his first go-around. He's going to be followed out by his teammate as Bergeson lets the car drift up towards the wall off of 4 to finish the run. Bergeson is going to move up to 13th spot with just 2 cars left to go, and Lapsevich watching on.
Lapsevich watching closely because now on the racetrack is the most recent winner here at Caraway in Pro Late Model competition in the Cars Tour. To the track now, representing Atlanta Paving and Concrete out of Woodstock, Georgia. It's Brandon Lopez for Bryson Lopez Racing. The 2 team cars back-to-back in qualifying, and Brandon Lopez with a 16.591, his first lap of 2. So he'll need a little bit of time to get about 2/10. Currently recorded in the 15th position as Lopez will see where he begins defense of this race from. The answer is going to be 7th. He did pick it up a little bit, 16.445, right in the heart of the top 10, Brandon Lopez.
Final car to go. Should be noted, Jeff Batten was slated to go out 13th. He backed the car to the wall in practice and will not partake in tonight's race. This driver comes into the night 10th in points and won the FloRacing Fieldmaster Award at Nashville. Second-year driver Rodney Dowlis out of Dix Hills, New York for Rackley War in the Vietnam Veterans of America entry. First lap for Rodney Dallas. A pocket $10,000 thanks to Dawson Sutton winning the first Floatium last week in the 62 car. Clocks in 9th quickest on the opening lap. Second lap is going to move Dallas up to 4th. And that will round out Mahle Motorsport qualifying with Trayton Lapcevich laying claim to pole. He won't have too much time to celebrate before he has to shift his focus to his late model stock car. But Trayton Lapcevich, third in points, is with Bob as a Mahle Motorsport pole sitter.
Yeah, he's got a big smile on his face, but he's still got one more qualifying effort to do. But how good was that number 30 machine?
I mean, that Port City Rhett Jones race number 30 was pretty fast. So big thanks to my whole crew. It felt really good in practice, and then thought we had a good piece for qualifying, and turns out we did. So just big thanks to all those guys back at Port City Rhett Jones Racing, preparing a fast race car, and we'll see if we can hold on for 100 laps here.
So you go from one division to the next, and I've seen you looking up at that sky, feeling some of those light raindrops. What are your thoughts on qualifying this Chan Bryant racing ride?
Yeah, I mean, we felt pretty good today in practice as well. Just made some adjustments following practice there, and I think we got ourselves in a good spot for qualifying. Hopefully the weather holds off. Would much rather race tonight here, so we'll see how she goes.
Trayton Lapcevich, third in points coming into this one, and he's awfully good here today.
Thanks, Bob, and that's after a great run in the late model stock car as well last time at Nashville when that team had to deal through some adversity on the practice day. Late model stock cars up next to see who will claim the Heatwave visual pole for the 4th race of 2026. We'll step aside and kick off qualifying right after this. Back at the Caraway Speedway, where we just saw Trayton Lapcevich lay claim to the Mahle Motorsports pole for the 100-lapper for the Pro Late Models, slated to kick off about 6 p.m. Eastern Time tonight, with the late model stocks going to get their green flag at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's now time for the late model stocks to hit the racetrack, and we've got a huge field of cars, 34 in total. Going to try to fight it out for an opportunity to make it into this show. And the first driver on the racetrack is looking to make his second career Cars Tour late model stocks start, and first since 2023. This is the DQS JF Electric Nice Motorsports field in number 4 for Matt Gould, the son of race-winning Truck Series crew chief Phil Gould. And he is on the clock and will set the bar for the late model stocks on this newly surfaced, at least on one end of the racetrack, Caraway Speedway. Gould's first lap, a 16.596, and a bit of a moment off of turn 4, kept it off the wall. And he will slow down on that second lap, but the right side of the car looks clean and pristine as Gould has set the bar at a 16.596.
Second car out on the racetrack, pulling double duty this evening in the ICPI Jones Utilities machine for Carroll Speed Shop out of Fredericksburg, Virginia, the number 44 of Connor Jones, who enters this evening second in late model stock car points after a strong run, a third place finish at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Jones works his way out of the back straightaway and into turn 3. First lap with a 16.576, so fastest time of 2 cars that have gone so far. And he gets even better and even quicker on the second lap. A 16.455, the lap of record for Connor Jones.
making his 50th career start last time out at Nashville. This would make it now start 51 for the driver of the Carroll Speed Shop, Texas Roadhouse, High Rock Vodka, IBCI, and Josh Sellers, number 57, from Claremont, North Carolina, Landon Huffman. 11th in points, finished 4th at Southern National, 7th at Wake, and then rebounded after a spin at Nashville to finish 17th. He was a Challenger winner here back in 2024 and a Wake County winner last week in their local show, trying to keep the mojo rolling as Huffman clocks in second. Down to Bob.
Dylan Feccio buckling into his race car. How about this scenario? Second ever late model stock car event, and first time at Caraway, and you got some cloud cover. What you thinking going into this one?
Yeah, pretty excited. Hopefully the track's got some speed in it. I think the car does, so we'll see.
Dylan Feccio getting ready for qualifying. He's very good in those pro late models and super late models, but he's a newcomer to the late model stock car wars.
From Landon Huffman to Landon S. Huffman we go on the racetrack, competing for LSH Racing and Alpine Partners out of Connolly Springs, North Carolina. Fastest lap for Landon S. Huffman, just ahead of Landon Huffman, a 16.528, which makes Landon S. Huffman the second fastest car in qualifying so far.
He's one of many drivers who have had a bit of a topsy-turvy 2026 to start the Cars Tour late model stock season. 11 career Cars Tour starters the hope. First at Caraway, missed a show at Wake County, but returned a week later to win one of their local shows. He was 22nd at Nashville. This is the Firewall Deep, a novel. The Glass Guys, McKay Capital Partners 05 for Alpha Sports out of Richmond, Virginia, Mason Bailey. 5th on his first go-around, looking for more here on lap 2. Bailey comes across the line. The second lap for Mason Bailey will be a little bit quicker, but not enough to improve in terms of running order. 16.748 and 5th for the 05 car.
To the track comes the points leader, the only multi-race winner so far in the 2026 ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear season, representing Jerky Boys, LK Mechanical, and CorvetteParts.net. For Junior Motorsports, it's Caden Quapple, who comes across the line with a first lap of 16.677 seconds. So currently 5th on the board for Quapple. Room to improve on the second lap if he could get a good drive out of the corner and finish off his qualifying run nicely. And as he comes across the stripe, Quapple will go to the second position with a 16.477.
As Brian Blevins comes onto the racetrack in the Van Dyke Racing Performance Team, let's go to Bob.
Landon Lewis getting ready for qualifying. You're watching what's going on right now. What are you reading as far as this racetrack, and how good is your race car?
My race car is really good. I'm proud of the car we brought at Kier KHI. Just thankful to be here for one. And I think the racetrack's got some more speed in it just with this cloud cover. So I think the biggest thing is not overdriving it and trying not to get too much, and it probably will benefit me. So just proud of the Rent Source, our trade, Panini, Treetop, just everyone that helps me out on this program, Kevin Delana, and hopefully make Bossman happy.
Great run for Brian Blevins in the car that Jake Bowman has been driving most of this season, up to 3rd in the AC Blevins Trucking 71.
Big news for the next driver coming out on the racetrack, who between Nashville and today announced that he is now driving for Rick Ware Racing, and he added his name to their burgeoning late model program. Michael Bumgarner now to the racetrack, a stalwart in local racing at Hickory Motor Speedway. He'll compete for Rick Ware Racing in select races in the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear and the Virginia Triple Crown later on this year. So first qualifying effort under the Rick Ware colors for Michael Bumgarner leaves him in the 6th position with a 16.578.
Next up on the racetrack, sophomore driver in terms of full-time competition with the Cars Tour in a late model stock car, making his 19th career start and 2nd here at Caraway. Had a top 10 effort here, 7th in 2025. This is the Q collar, Liberty in a Can, JP Performance, number 98 for AK Performance, for the driver who originally calls Marietta, Georgia home, Donovan Strauss, on his first lap, 16.656. Unfortunately for Strauss, missed the show at Wake County. Top 28 cars are going to lock in on time. 2 provisionals, 4 cars are not going to make tonight's 125 lapper, but the second lap for Strauss gives him insurance to 4th.
Good lap there for Donovan Strauss's Dylan Fetcho out of Lebanon, Tennessee. Takes to the racetrack for Mike Darn Racing. U.S. Tank and Hunter Industrial made his debut in late model stock car competition in the Cars Tour. Last time out at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, where he is a multi-time track champion and was top 5 just about all night long. Dylan Fetcho with a first lap on the board of 16.519. Looked at the whole situation and went to Mike Darn and said, you know what? I had so much fun. Let's do this again at a place that he has not seen before. And a pretty good run for not seeing this place. 16.471, second fastest qualifying time so far for Dylan Fetcho.
Next on the racetrack, 2020 Cars Tour late model stock champion, making his 60th career start. 3-time winner here, 2022, 2023, and 2025. And he is driving the Eaton and Mobile Movers in GXS number 14 for Jimmy Morin Racing. First lap for Fryer, comes across in 10th. And while Fryer wraps up his run, we'll jump down to Bob.
Brandon Pierce contemplating this qualifying run. You have a lot of experience here in late model stock cars, but what do you think about that new patch of asphalt down in 3 and 4?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, really hasn't changed how you drive here, maybe a little bit, moved the line down some. It's definitely, you know, made all of us, I think, this weekend kind of chase our balance of trying to see which end we wanted to be better on, but it's still the same old Caraway, and I think we put on a good show tonight for the fans. So just really proud of all these KP Speed Motorsports guys, and hopefully go out here for Polaris Off-Road and KevinSaysYes.com and all of our other great partners, and get us a good starting spot.
Jared Fryer second on the board with a 16.46 second. Manassas, Virginia's Minnie Tyrell coming out of turn 4 to complete his qualifying effort. Representing Jesus is Lord and Carnage Performance Exhaust. And Minnie goes to 4th with a 16.474. Good run there on the boards for Minnie Tyrell. Sam Butler next to the racetrack in the house car for RNS Race Cars. The driver in Taylorsville, North Carolina, racing in the Dodge. For Ram. Butler running full-time in the 2026 season. First lap of record for Sam Butler is 16.634, 2/10 off of the fastest time, currently held by Connor Jones, whose number has held up pretty well as cars have started to come across the racetrack and fill out the qualifying roster, as Sam Butler finishes his qualifying run with a 16.499, which is good enough for 6th.
Next up is a driver who is having a great 2026 to start off his late model stock season. 5th in points with back-to-back top 10 finishes at Wake County in Nashville, including a podium effort there. This to Hedinger Racing number 5 out of King William, Virginia for Medic Corporation, Victory Custom Trailers, and Direct Development, Chase Burrow. His first lap already into the top 10. Burrow now working his way through 3 and 4 to see if he can pick it up and challenge Connor Jones for the Heatwave visual pole at Caraway. Checkered flag for Burrow, and lap 2 is going to slow down just a little bit. So Burrow will lean on the 16.539 that he laid down. Top 11 cars separated by less than 1/10 of a second.
Carson Lofton now taking to the racetrack. The driver racing for Nelson Motorsports out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and the Autos by Nelson L&R Transmission BRCC Toyota. One start here in his rookie campaign 1 season ago, started 19th and finished 9th here at Caraway. His first lap on the board is 16.586, which will leave him 13th out of 15 cars that have taken time so far, as Lofton brings the Nelson Motorsports machine out of turn 4 to finish off his qualifying run. Good jump there on that second lap, up to 7th position on the board with a 16.503.
The driver coming into the night 7th in points, making career start number 76. Was 4th at Southern National, 22nd at Wake after a crash, but then back in the top 10 at Nashville. Driving the Aaron Sales and Lease number 16 from McCumbee Elliott Racing, Chad McCumbee. This is his 7th start at Caraway, and he goes right to the top on lap 1. McCumbee with a 16.422. Trying to go faster yet as he's 33 thousandths clear of the field right now. His best prior finish at this racetrack was 9th. Is tonight the night where he can get his 2nd Cars Tour win? Lap 2 slows down a little bit, but McCumbee right to the Heatwave visual pole.
Chad McCumbee with a fast lap to take the top spot in qualifying so far for the late model stock cars as the defending champion of late model stock cars in the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear out of Supply, North Carolina, racing the Red Source and R-Trade Chevrolet for Kevin Harvick Incorporated. This is Landon Lewis, who will come across the line to complete his first lap and goes 5th on lap 1 with a 16.473. Good lap for the defending champion of the series, who will have one more set of corners to try and jump up 4 more spots on the board and take the provisional Heat Wave Pole Award. Can he do it? Yes, he can. Landon Lewis with a 16.302 to go right to the top of the charts.
By more than a tenth of a second for the KHI number 29. Now it's up to Aledo, Texas native, and a Tom Musby Racing number 17 for Winsight Development, Fayetteville Heating and Air, and Toyota. Caden Honeycutt, 52nd career Cars Tour late model stock start here on what is an Auburn Ford, and his 7th Cars Tour start at this racetrack. Caden Honeycutt trying to see if the trend will continue as far as laying down flyers. And as he comes across the line for Honeycutt, that first lap is not going to be enough to put him up there. Honeycutt now working his way through 3 and 4. And as he comes to the line, he will bump up to 8th on that second time around.
Next to the racetrack out of Kernersville, North Carolina, racing in the Polaris Off-Road, Kevin Says Yes.com, and Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Chevrolet for Kevin Powell, Speed Motorsports. It's Brandon Pierce, one of the veterans of this series, who has got 7 starts to his name here at Caraway and 3 top 10s. This is a track that KP Speed Motorsports knows very well in modified competition. They've run here with Brandon Ward in their modified program a lot. Bringing the late model program here to Caraway for the first time, and Brandon Pierce has a 16.626 to work with, 18th on the board so far. This will try and climb up the ladder a little bit. 3/10 between him and the time set by Landon Lewis, and as he comes across the stripe, it is an improvement for Pierce, 16.524 on the board, 13th currently for Brandon Pierce.
Next driver on the racetrack trying to make his 6th career start and 2nd of the season. This is the Fast Line Construction, Ajo Concrete, Frankie's New York Pizza, and the Little Gym number 99 out of Greer, South Carolina, Austin Summerall. Bob?
Mason Diaz buckling inside his blue and white J. Hedgecock machine, appropriate for Caraway, but I want to know, what do you think qualifying is going to bring this race car?
Hopefully good speed. We mocked up yesterday, only one time this weekend with a 50-something, so needs to be better, but we worked on the car, got a lot more speed out of it, so hopefully be up somewhere top 10 and lock in all night.
It's been serious business inside this cockpit for Mason Diaz about to qualify.
Thanks, Bob, and we're going to see Austin Summerall wash that car out wide and come down for the checkers. At Summerall, 19th, and we're going to start to see some of these cars towards the bottom of the running order have to sweat it out. Mason Bailey, Austin Summerall, Matt Gould, Michael Bumgarner, all in a bit of a danger zone right now, as you got to be in the top 28 to lock your way in.
Next up, a driver who's been in the headlines more than just about anybody else, Doug Barnes Jr., now on the racetrack. Driver out of Forest Hills, Maryland for Air Doug, Barnes Paving in the Barnes Racing Chevrolet, has been quick just about everywhere we've gone. 19th on the board so far with a 16.599. But Barnes with room to improve, certainly would like to get a little bit better starting spot coming out of turn 4 and across the stripe. Barnes will go to 14th with a 16.525. So he'll start in the middle of the pack for tonight's late model stock car feature.
Next up on the racetrack, a driver who is looking to do whatever it takes to right the ship as far as how 2016 has gone. He's got the Simpson Race Products Hard Luck Award from last week at Nashville in what was his 3rd consecutive DNF. The 2025 Spears Cars Tour West Pro Late Model Champion is looking to bring the Burco Redwood Gamma Rebar Concrete North Incorporated number 15 from Manteca, California, Jace Hale, to a finish of one of these races. He's had speed and pace all year long, and as he washes out wide coming to the checkers, he was 18th his first time around, 16th on lap 2. So Jace Hale hoping that the black cloud finally walks away from that car. Maybe tonight's the night they can right the ship for this season.
next driver to the racetrack out of Wilson, North Carolina, carrying the colors of Vet Adventures and Quality Pre-Owned. For Matt Piercy Racing, this is Parker Eatman now on the racetrack, who led the most laps at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Had a bit of a show and a half that he put on in a run that resembled the last two races in 2025 when he finished 4th at Tri-County and 3rd at Northwest. Seems to be building on speed, starting to figure it out. How does he respond after the near miss? The so close opportunity at Nashville. He comes across the line and we'll go 20, no, quick change there. Parker Eatman completing his time and second with a 16.407.
Quite the pickup for Eatman as we now welcome another one of our double duty drivers on the racetrack. Driver the number 95, Mackenzie Properties Lumber and Supply and Trucordia out of Asheboro, North Carolina for AK Performance, London Mackenzie. Picked up the RPM Trailer Sales Rookie of the Race Award at Nashville. Last time out for Mackenzie, who is 19th on his first go-around. Started 6th at Southern National, but had a late issue finishing 26th, and then unfortunately came up short of making the field at Wake County, but came back to Nashville with a solid top 10 effort. Second lap for Mackenzie, going to be a pretty good pickup to the top 10. 7th for London Mackenzie. Great run between the two laps.
Lightning London, showing some speed, is now out on the racetrack in the number 32 machine, racing for Hardcore Hardware and Race City Steel out of Fulshire, Texas for MKM Racing Development. This is Cade Brown, who has plenty of experience in the Cars Tour to his name. 1 start at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, 3 starts in his career in the Cars Tour. Best finish of 8th last year after starting 4th in the July Firecracker 265. This is Cade Brown coming around to complete his run here. Second lap on the board is a 16.692. So Cade Brown going 24th on the timesheet so far.
Making his 12th career start and 2nd at Caraway. Currently 6th in points with a worse finish of 13th that came at Wake County when he was running in the top 5 and the motor expired late. Driving the Lead Podium Performance, GBS Brand Connect, Unimify, and J-Star Capital number 5 from New London, North Carolina, Carson Brown. And the first lap for Brown, 6th. That is a very sporty opening lap for Brown, who may challenge for pole time here. It is a 16.302 for Landon Lewis. Can Carson Brown do it on his second time? Brown to the line, to the checkers. And Carson Brown is going to settle into that second spot with a pickup there on that second lap.
Carson Brown leaving it late, but doing a nice job of it here and making good work of it. Is now on the racetrack out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, representing Crane and Rigging, LRS, and National Fire Protection. It's Dylan Ward on the racetrack. The Ward family, well known for competing at Bowman Gray Stadium, but his brother Trevor riding the thick of things at South Boston, leading the local points there. They've got experience here and at Ace, where we head next, and here at Caraway. All tracks within a driving distance of Winston-Salem, and all tracks that the Ward family has extensive experience on. Dylan Ward, first lap was a 16.920. Second lap for Dylan Ward will be a 16.721. That leaves him 26th in qualifying so far.
Not the best news for Ward, because he is right down there in that danger zone. Again, top 28 cars are going to make it on time. The 28th car to partake in qualifying hits the racetrack now, and it's our pole sitter for the Pro Late Model portion of tonight's program. Going to try to see if he can sweep the night. This is the Chad Bryant Racing Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship and All Rim number 77 out of Grimsby, Ontario, Canada. Trayton Lapsevich trying to see if he could break out the broom and lead the field to green in both races tonight. This will officially put Mason Bailey on the bubble. Lapsevich's first lap was 25th, hoping that he could see quite the difference between lap 1 and lap 2. Second time around for Trayton Lapsevich. It's going to move just up to 22nd spot.
Next out onto the racetrack, representing Gentry Systematic Services, Roots Tire and Auto Services, Pepper Pete's, M&D Construction, and Skipper Homes out of Easley, South Carolina. It's the 09 of Riley Gentry, a driver who regularly competes at Florence Motor Speedway, which the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear will visit over the course of Labor Day weekend later on in our 2026 campaign. Riley Gentry's first lap, a 16.852, 29th on the board. So a need to improve there for Gentry to lock himself in on time as he comes across the stripe. Gentry up a little bit, but not a lot, 16.672. So Gentry going to be sweating it out to see whether or not he makes the field.
Gentry is a driver who has already had the misfortune of missing a race this year. Did so at Wake County earlier in the year. The Matt Piercy Racing Piedmont Animal Rescue number 7 for the young driver out of Troutman, North Carolina, on the Speedway now, making his 5th career start. He's Aiden's King. He does have a Cars Tour Pro Late Model start here. Back in 2023, started 10th and finished 6th. And this is going to officially kick off the bumping, if you will, from the top 28 in the field, as now Mason Bailey is on the outside looking in, and King's first lap was not what they were hoping for, but this is a team that ran full-time last season and also has been running full-time this season, so we'll have to see if the provisional standings will be good enough for King if he needs it, but not anymore. 25th, and that will bump Ward from the field right now and put Cade Brown on the bubble in the MKM number 32.
To the racetrack now comes one of the more experienced drivers in the field, especially here at Caraway, racing for the Sign Shop, Prince William Marina, and TSS Services out of Manassas, Virginia for Hedgecock Racing Enterprises. In the house car there, it's the 41 of Mason Diaz, who comes across the stripe to begin his qualifying efforts. Diaz, a former winner of the Throwback Classic at Hickory Motor Speedway, has 5 starts to his name at Caraway. Best finish was a runner-up run in 2024. First lap on the board for Mason Diaz, a 16.800, slowest lap on record, but he's got another lap to improve his time. We've seen a lot of cars gain speed over the course of their first and second lap. So how much time is Mason Diaz going to gain as he comes across the stripe to finish off qualifying? As it stands, not much, 16.655, 31st for Mason Diaz.
3 cars left to go. And another double-duty driver makes his way onto the racetrack from Woodstock, Georgia, in the Bryson Lopez Racing number 6 for Atlanta Paving and Concrete, Reynolds Warren Equipment Company, Leeboy, Sundance Equipment, and Peak Steel Entry, making his 6th career Cars Tour Late Model Stock start at a track where he won his first career Cars Tour Pro Late Model race last season. Brandon Lopez, Riley Gentry watching on to see if he'll be able to hang on to that 28th spot. Mason Diaz 27th. And Austin Summerow in danger of perhaps being bumped from the field with these 3 cars still remaining. Gentry will get knocked out of the top 28 as Lopez lays down a flyer on the first lap to go to 6th. Lopez was pretty confident in both of his race cars today, and we could see why. Checkered flag for Brandon Lopez. Second lap comes across. And it looks like he may have gotten all the good out of it on that first go-around. Lopez matches the car number and sits 6th.
To the racetrack to try and follow up that run. Racing for Concrete Construction, Langley Collision out of Lancaster, South Carolina for BDR Squared. It's Brandon Dean now working his way to the racetrack. Opens up his account. Trying to find a little bit of speed here for Brandon Dean. 1 start in the 2026 Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear for the driver out of the Palmetto State so far this season. White flag here as Dean will complete his first lap of record. It is a 16.920, 33rd. The time in question that he needs to beat to lock in on time outright is a 16.655 from Mason Diaz. He needs about 3.5 tenths to lock himself into the show, and Brandon D with a 16.810, 33rd time on the board.
And Austin Summerow could breathe easy with 1 car to go. He is locked in. Diaz still on the bubble. Landon Lewis still on the pole with 1 car left to go. It is the Jerry Hunt Supercenter, Bessemer Tire and Auto, Buddy Scoops Ice Cream 04 from Lexington, North Carolina. Ronnie Bassett Jr. making his 50th career Cars Tour Late Model Stock start tonight after kicking off his Cars Tour career back in 2023. Landon Lewis, the defending champion, watches on to see if Bassett could contend with the 16.302 that Lewis is standing on for the pole. First time around for Bassett, 29th. So Diaz still holding on to that final spot for now. Bassett looking for a pickup. Landon Lewis maybe getting set to celebrate another Heatwave visual pole in his late model stock career. Checkered flag for Bassett as he comes to the line. He improves on that second lap. Bassett will jump up the running order, but not enough to contest Lewis for the pole. Bassett to 23rd, Diaz bumped from the top 28, Summerall locked in, and Landon Lewis gets his first Heatwave visual pole of 2026.
Landon Lewis will improve on his 7th starting position from Caraway 1 year ago. And as Landon Lewis is, I guess, sorting out the hat dance down there, Bob will have all the information we need to know about our new pole sitter at Caraway.
Indeed, he's got the hat dance going for sure. Several different hats. I see 3 overall. Now he's got the driven hat on. You are the fast time qualifier. How does this set yourself up well for tonight's race?
Yeah, I mean, first off, we had to get through qualifying, and I was a little stressed. The brake pedal kept going to the floor, so I guess no brakes is faster, I guess, around here. So learned a little bit there, but just proud of the car we brought, and I think it's got a good race pace. So I'm just thankful for Rinsource, Our Trade, Driven, Sunglasses, Treetop, Panini, just all my partners, all my crew guys for busting their butt every week for me, and just it feels good to be back up top. For a little bit, it was getting kind of worried there.
Any concern now with that condition going into tonight's race?
No, I'm not worried about it. We kind of come up with a solution of what we need to do, and I think we'll be fine.
Landon Lewis with the pole award here today at Caraway Speedway for the ZMAX Cars Tour.
Thanks, Bob. You know, we missed Landon at the season opener because he was running the Truck Series race out in St. Pete. He's back with a vengeance. That team is starting to get some of that momentum that led him to a title in 2025, and he's got himself a pole award here.
And he had a fast car in the race last year, too. He was right up near the front with Minnie Tyrell and Landon Huffman. They tangled late in the race coming out of turn 2 1 year ago. But Lewis has had a lot of speed at Caraway throughout the years, and hard to believe that he won't be a factor in the going when we get there later this evening.
We're going to step aside. When we come back, we will put a bow on qualifying as we've got both sessions in the books, and it is your defending champion who's going to lead us down for green in the late model stocks tonight at Caraway. Qualifying highlights for the TCPS Plumbing and Septic 250 around the bend. We've already handed out some hardware here today in Sophia, North Carolina. Welcome back to the TCPS Plumbing and Septic 250, where we have just awarded our Mahle Motorsport pole for the Pro Late models, as well as our Heatwave Visual Pole Award for the late model stock cars. We kicked off our afternoon with Pro Late model qualifying, and it's been a good trend for our defending champions across both classes. And when we look at the Pro Late model side, our 2025 Drivers Champion, Ben Mayer, with the Low Country Motorsports team in 2026, he clocked in 5th fastest in Pro Late model time trials.
Ben Mayer had a great run to set himself up well with his new team for 2026. The folks at Low Country Motorsports will love the opportunity to start in the top 5. Mayer going to be rolling off from the inside of the 3rd row when we get green with our Pro Late model feature. And then how about Rodney Dallas Jr. for the folks at Rackley War with a season's best qualifying effort of 4th. Great starting position here for the Dix Hills, New York native. Rodney Dallas Jr. going to be a threat with one of the best cars he's ever had here at Caraway Speedway.
That Rackley War team also bringing maybe some of the extra cash they got from Nashville when Dawson Sutton captured the first Floatium on the docket for them this season. Rookie driver James Seawright continues to impress from Winter Haven, Florida, and he has got that number 5 car for direct development on the inside of row number 2, looking for his first career Cars Tour Pro Late Model win, and he is off to a smashing start so far in 2026. He will start 3rd.
This driver has, I guess, a bit of an affinity for the number 2 as of late. He's been fantastic at podium finishes. He was runner-up at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Caden Honeycutt out of Aledo, Texas, will start on the outside of the front row for JC Motorsports and CB Partners Automotive with a 16.366 in qualifying. Honeycutt will look to go one spot better in the feature.
And the driver who scored himself the Mahle Motorsport pole out of Grimsby, Ontario, Trayton Lapsevich, Cars Tour Late Model stock winner, now having driven for 2 different teams in 3 races in 2026. This is 2nd in a row with the Rhett Jones operation that he has worked with for quite some time. And Lapsevich grabbing himself a Mahle Motorsport pole in a Pro Late model, looking for that first career Pro Late model win with the Cars Tour later on tonight. So we kick things off with the pros. Late model stocks immediately followed. And as we rolled into trying to see who would capture the Heatwave Visual Pole Award, some familiar names that have started up towards the front throughout the season found their way to the top.
How about this driver, Chad McCumbee, who has not had a lot of luck as of late in this series, but the speed has been there, and it's showcased itself here in Heatwave Visual Pole qualifying. Chad McCumbee with a 16.439. He will start on the outside of the 2nd row and 4th.
One of the big questions leaving Nashville was how will Parker Eatman and team respond from the disappointment and heartbreak of losing the race that they dominated on the last restart. Parker's already answered a lot of those questions. He's been fast all day long, and he timed in 3rd quickest with that first Cars Tour win seemingly right around the corner, and it could be tonight.
Parker Eatman continuing to build off the Nashville speed. Here's a driver who has been lights out in just about everything beyond the Cars Tour, and that speed is starting to come to the fore here in late model stock car competition 2. Carson Brown for Lee Pulliam Performance had a fast run in Heatwave Visual Pole qualifying. 16.379 means he'll start 2nd when we get going with the late model stock car feature later.
And the driver who is our defending Cars Tour Late Model Stock champion, as we said, down a race due to prior commitments in the Truck Series earlier this season, but now back on top for Landon Lewis in the KHI number 29, grabbing himself another career Cars Tour Late Model Stock pole, his first of 2026 and first at Caraway. And he will lead the field to green for the 125 lapper that we hope to see later on this evening for the TCPS Plumbing and Septic 250. One bit of housekeeping before we step aside. Officials confirm Mason Diaz and Mason Bailey are able to grab the provisional spots going home from the race tonight. Dylan Ward, Cade Brown, Riley Gentry, Brandon Dean. Heartbreaker for those 4 for sure. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we will replay some of the action from Nashville and show some additional special content as well. You're watching live coverage of the ZMAX Cars Tour on Flow.